This week, we're very excited to introduce an artist who is making his very first appearance on the Honky Tonk Time Machine. Kind enough to spend some time with us less than a week out from his Valentine's for Veterans concert coming up February 8th at Black River Coliseum in Poplar Bluff. 90s icon Tracy Byrd joins the Honky Tonk Time Machine. Tracy, you were just here for SEMO District Fair in September. It'll be good to have you back in Southeast Missouri.
Oh, thank you, Glenn. We can't wait to get there either, man. Going to be a fun show. Looking forward to it.
Now, this will actually be your first show of 2024. You took January off, but you're right back at it here at the start of February. It seems to me you still get after it pretty hard as far as your touring schedule goes.
Well, I took off a little time back in the end of '09, stayed off the road for a couple years, and pretty much been back on it ever since about 2012, and just feels like life, feels like normal life for me. I've been out here doing this so long that when I'm not doing it, that's when it feels odd.
Well, and for those who don't know, this concert, February 8th at Black River Coliseum, is a free concert for veterans. It's called Valentine's for Veterans. Ticket sales aren't open to the general public. If you're a veteran, you can actually go by Black River Coliseum or the John J. Pershing VA Medical Center and grab those for free. And Tracy, for the veterans that do that, what kind of show are they in for?
Well, a country show. I mean, country music, country 90s hits, a few cover songs from the latter years. Old stuff. Got a steel guitar and a fiddle in the band, like it should be, and we try to have a whole lot of fun and really try to play and sing our hearts out.
You had me at steel guitar and fiddle.
Yeah, that gets me too.
That's all you needed to say. I want to kind of go back to the beginning with you a little bit. You're from Byrd, Texas. Is that how you say that?
That's right, Byrd. Yes, sir. Okay. You got it right. Most folks don't.
Well, and I'll tell you, I thought it was Vidor until I talked to Clay Walker. Clay's from there too, right?
That's right. Yeah, me and Clay and George Jones.
You guys are going to have to start bottling up the water down there and selling it. What's going on in Byrd, Texas?
I think it's just really boring, so people took up singing to have something to do.
When I talked to Clay, he said you guys just missed each other. I think you were graduating as he was coming into Byrd High School. Did you know Clay back then?
Oh, I knew of Clay. We weren't like friends. He was my sister's age, my little sister's age, which so I graduated in '85, and Clay, I believe, graduated in '87 or '88.
Yeah,
and so he was younger than me, and but I do remember Clay. Yeah, I remember him, and of course we know each other well now, but way back then he was a little younger than I was.
Sure. And I think Mark Chestnut was running in the same circles as you guys back then, too. You're probably playing all the same clubs and stuff.
Yeah. Mark was from Beaumont, and which is where I live now. And so I got to know Mark and used to go in and sit in with him at the clubs in Beaumont. And we became friends like that when I was probably, I don't even know if I was old enough to be in the clubs. I was probably 19 or 20. And it was pretty funny. I used to go in and sit in. He'd say, do a couple songs. I said, all right. And it'd be on the last set. And I'd get through with my couple of songs, and I'd say, well, Mark, come back up here. And I'd wait. And finally the crowd would go, he left. He went home. so he'd stick me with doing his whole last set. But I learned a lot that way. That was good.
All part of paying your dues, I guess, huh?
That's right. It's all part of it.
Now, I read this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that your very first recording was a version of Your Cheating Heart, Hank Williams, at like a local shopping mall. Is that true? Yeah,
right here in Beaumont. Yeah, it was Recording Studios of America. It was like a chain, I guess, they put in a lot of back then into a lot of malls, and you could go in and basically it was karaoke, and they just recorded it onto a cassette tape for you, and so my buddies kind of talked me into going in there, and they had a list of songs that they had, and I think they had the only two real country songs that they had were That's the Way Love Goes and You're Cheating Hard, and I think I did both of them.
And I'm sure there was a few more stops along the way, but that did indirectly eventually lead to your big break, right?
Well, really what happened is I was not playing out at that point, and I sang, I did that little song in that place, and the lady who was managing the place said, "God, you're really good." She said, "Would you like to be on the Charlie Pruitt show?" She said it's a local Opry type show that they do once a month, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll try out, and so I went and tried out and did that, and once I did that, I kind of thought, okay, I can make a go of this maybe. So that's when I really got serious and got a band together and started playing out. But it was another 3 years before MCA came along.
Talk about paying your dues after you signed with MCA. Those first two singles, they didn't get a ton of traction, so it took you a little while to get going after signing. And those are good songs. I've gone back and I've listened. It's just, that's how it goes sometimes. What's going through your mind?
That's how it goes, yeah. Well, I'd watched Chestnut go there, and Too Cold at Home, of course, went straight to the top, and then MCA had Trisha Yearwood at the time when I was about to sign with them, and of course, She's in Love with the Boy went straight to the top, and I thought, man, this record label don't miss. and so then I cut that first record, and they said, man, we love this song. That's a thing about a memory that you wrote, and it was a song I'd written, and so they said, let's make it the first single. And I thought, oh, this is great, man. I'm going to have a number one, and it's going to be a song I wrote. That's going to be great. And it went to 42. And so then we come back with a cover of Someone to Give My Love To, old Johnny Paycheck thing that I always did in the clubs, and it went to like 20, almost top 20, I think, just shy of 20, and so I thought, well, that's a little better, but if I don't get something quick, they're probably gonna run me off, and so we came back with Hole in Heaven after that, and it went to number one.
Yeah, last fall you celebrated 30 years since that song went to number one. It's hard to believe it's been that long. And I was going to ask you if you knew that was going to be the song to break you, but kind of sounds like if you would have known that, you probably would have put it out first, right?
Exactly. No, I didn't, man. I really didn't. I was kind of really trusting in them, to know what was right, and they missed a couple times too, I guess. but once we got it rolling, it was pretty good after that. So.
Well, I don't have time to ask you about all your songs, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Watermelon Crawl.
Well, that's undoubtedly the biggest song of my career. It didn't hit number one. It actually only went to number two, but it's hands down the biggest song. I mean, Keeper of the Stars was a number one and one song of the year in '95 at the ACM Awards and all that, which was great, so you would think that would be the biggest song, but from my viewpoint, it's probably the second biggest because Watermelon Crawl is just hands down my most popular song. It's the one they start hollering for when the show starts, and don't quit hollering for it till I do it. So there's no doubt it's the number one song of my career, and and people sometimes go, wow, do you like that? And there was a time when maybe I was like, I wish it would have been this song or that song, but that song's given me so much, man, and I still love singing it, and the crowd loves it, and it'll always be there,
When you first heard it, were you thinking, man, I got to cut this, or were you skeptical at first? How'd that work?
No, the demo on it was horrible. It was nothing like we ended up cutting it. We really had to work on that song. I loved it lyrically, and the fun story of it, but we turned it into the groove, kind of groovy song that it is, because it was not that the way they wrote it and the way they demoed it. We kind of just took some freedoms with it and changed up the groove and kind of turned it into a hit record.
Well, speaking of 30-year anniversaries, this July will mark 30 years since you put out Watermelon Crawl. Can you still do the Watermelon Crawl 30 years later, Tracy?
I never could do it to begin with. I am absolutely, without a doubt, the worst dancer that's ever stepped foot on a dance floor. And so I leave the dancing to everybody else, and I just do the singing.
Yeah. One thing's for sure: if you got a dance that goes along with your song, it's probably going to do well.
Yeah, and at that time, the line dancing was all the craze, and so Watermelon Crawl were really popular with that. So.
Well, you must have been a Johnny Paycheck fan, because you mentioned you covered one of his songs early, and then, of course, you had a big hit with Don't Take Her, She's All I Got, 25 years after Johnny recorded it.
Yeah, we had actually taken Don't Take Her in on that session when we cut Someone to Give My Love To, the first one, because I was doing that song too. And we decided to just cut Someone to Give My Love To, and we all kind of agreed, well, we'll come back around to Don't Take Her and do it later on, because I really loved that song and still do. And so down the road, a few albums later, I brought it up and I said, look, we need to do this tune. And then of course it was a big hit for us, and a big hit for Johnny, and a big hit for Bobby Blue Bland and Gary U.S. Bonds. Gary U.S. Bonds actually wrote it. And that song, that's something, till I cut it, I thought it was only a hit by Paycheck. I didn't realize that it had actually been a blues hit first, way back in the day, and then Paycheck kind of like we did with Watermelon Crawl, kind of turned it into a country song later on, and had that hit in 1976, I believe it was, with it.
Yeah. So Gary U.S. Bonds wrote it. Freddie North had the blues hit with it. Conway Twitty had an album cut with it. Tanya Tucker.
Conway had it. Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't know about all of those.
Yeah.
Well, I was the one that it was a big pause between the last cut and mine, because I came off the bus in California after it had become a big hit. And this guy run up to me and just kissed me right on the cheek and hugged me, and it kind of took me back, and it was Gary U.S. Bonds, and he said, Tracy Byrd, thank you. He said, I'm getting royalty money rolling into my mailbox. He said that I never dreamed I'd have again. I said, well, it's a great song, man.
Yeah, you definitely revived it and got the big hit out of it. The ones I was talking about were just, album cuts. So
album cuts, yeah, album cuts, yeah. But it's a great song, though.
Funny story about that song. I was 11 years old when it came out. I'm sitting in the truck with my dad, and it comes on, and I knew it was your new song. And I told him, I was like, oh, this is the new Tracy Byrd song, Dad. And he looked at me and he said, this song's older than you are. And I knew better than to argue with my dad, but I knew I was right, because I didn't know about cover songs. You're a kid, you think you know everything. So I argued with him, and it turns out I guess we were both right.
That's right. That is right. Y'all were both right.
Yeah.
And I actually did it on back when Primetime Country Nashville Now was on TNN, and me and Paycheck did it together. And I said, you want to take the chorus and the first chorus? And Paycheck was like, hell no. He said, I can't do that little love away from me, that thing that you put in there. He said, don't make me try to sing it.
Well, you made it.
You put some stuff in it, too.
You made it your own then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about Holding Heaven, Watermelon Crawl, Keeper of the Stars, of course, Don't Take Her, She's All I Got. Is there any song that, there's a bunch of them, but any song that we haven't talked about that you feel like needs to be talked about before we let you go?
There's, I'm From the Country was a really big hit for me, and then there's a lot of songs there's several that I'll do in the show that were not singles, that are just some of my favorites. Heaven in My Woman's Eyes, it actually was a single, but Heaven in My Woman's Eyes we'll do, and we'll do Let Me Be in Love, and we'll do a song called Back to Texas that I really like a lot. And so we I stick some of my favorites in there just for me, because I like singing them. But the majority of the show, and there's actually a couple of singles that like Put Your Hand in Mine was a top 10 song, and we don't even have that in the show right now. So there's some that don't make it to the show, but we can always do them if people want to hear them.
Now, that's a good problem to have when you got too many songs to fit in the show. That means you did something right?
I guess so. It's a good feeling.
Well, Tracy, I think it's really cool what you're doing. A free concert for veterans, Valentine's for veterans, February 8th at Black River Coliseum in Poplar Bluff. And if you don't mind, before we let you go, just invite all of our local veterans who are also Tracy Byrd fans to come see you on Thursday.
Yes, folks, come on out. It's going to be a great show, and we look forward to having you in the crowd and having you singing along and enjoying the night with us.
And again, tickets aren't on sale to the general public. You must be a veteran to get your tickets, and you can get them at Black River Coliseum or by stopping by the John J. Pershing VA Medical Center in Poplar Bluff. Tracy, thanks so much again, not only for coming on my show, but for doing this free concert. I know you're going to show our local heroes a great time on Thursday the 8th.
Looking forward to it.